Okay, thanks, Natalie. Thanks, Bogdan. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Bryan. I am one of the Pathfinder area coordinators in the South England Conference. I look after Area 6C with two other fellow coordinators. I also look after drilling and drumming for the South England Conference as well. That's the role that I cover. I live in London. My home church is Stratford. Public speaking is not my forte, so I do hope that you will bear with me as I do try to give the honour that I'm going to lead out in. I hope that I'm able to do it some justice, but please bear with me if I do kind of maybe slip up on a couple of words or anything, because I had to really research this. There's quite a lot to cover. So without further ado, I think we'll just go straight into it, if that's okay. So I'll just share my screen. Can everyone can see my screen, I hope? Natalie, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah, we're all good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So we are covering the Christian Citizenship honour. And here we go. Right, so the requirements, there's 13 requirements to cover in order to achieve this honour. So I've just listed the requirements here. You need to describe the following flags: the national, state of provincial, AY, Pathfinder and Christian flags. You need to know how to display the national flag with two other flags under the following situations: a campout or camporee, a fair, a Pathfinder Day Programme and a parade. You need to demonstrate how to fold and salute your national flag and mention when and how it should be displayed. You need to explain the meaning of and reason for the National Anthem and recite the words from memory. Give the rights and responsibilities of a citizen of your country. Have an interview with a local, regional or national official of your country and learn about his or her duties. Write a one-page essay or give a 2-minute oral report about a famous person in your country. And you need to mention what he or she has done to gain their recognition. You also need to do one of the following, and that would be make a list of 10 famous quotations from leaders of your country, or make a list of 10 famous historic places in your country, or a list of 10 famous historic events in your country. And number 9 would be describe what you can do as a citizen to help your church and country. Go through the steps of an individual acquiring citizenship in the country and learn how that's done. That's for number 10. Number 11, know how to explain the process of government in your country. 12, explain the meaning of the statement that Jesus made in Matthew 22:21. Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. And lastly, number 13, you need to explain why laws are established in your country. So before we move on into the requirements, so let's talk about what Christian citizenship.
Before you even start there, Natalie, I just want to say some of the Pathfinders might be thinking, oh my goodness, that's such a lot of work to do. How am I going to be able to do all of this in this time? Don't worry, because we are recording this program. We are the presentation will also be uploaded. It will all be there for you. So if you miss anything at all, please don't worry. You'll be able to go onto the website and you'll be able to catch up with the slides. You'll be able to catch up with the talk that Natalie is about to give. So you will be able to fill in any blanks that you might find. So please don't stress out. You'll be able to catch up. Don't worry at all. And I've popped the links for the worksheets into the chats as well.
Okay, lovely. Thanks, Natalie. So before we actually move on into the requirements, we'll look at what Christian citizenship is. So what is a Christian? So a Christian is a follower of Christ. So we're Christians, as Pathfinders, we are Christians. We believe in Jesus and we follow his teachings. The Bible is our guide and we feed ourselves with God's word. What is a citizen? So the dictionary definition of a citizen is a legally recognized subject or national of a state or commonwealth, either native or naturalized. So when they say native, that's if you're born in there. Naturalized means the legal process that you would take to become a citizen. This next paragraph is probably one that you might want to write down, because it gives a little bit more information. It says, so a citizen is an individual who legally belongs to a country either by birth or naturalization, and is therefore invested with the rights, responsibilities, and protection of that country. So we can delve back straight into our requirements. So requirement 1, describe the following flags: national, state or provincial, AY, Pathfinder, and Christian. So here we have the Union flag, also known as the Union Jack. We try to keep it to flag because a jack is I think that terminology is usually referred to a flag that's flown from a boat or a ship. So we try to keep to saying Union flag. So this is our Union flag, and it's called a Union flag because it unites 4 nations together. So it's made up of the cross of St. George from England, the cross or saltire of St. Andrew. A saltire, you see that word saltire. Saltire is a cross, but it's just a cross that is a diagonal cross on the field of the flag. So that's what a saltire is. So you've got the cross of St. George, the saltire of St. Andrew of Scotland, and you've got the saltire of St. Patrick from Ireland. So the Union flag is made up of those 3 flags. So how many nations did I say? Remember I said 4? So our Union is made up of England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and it's also made up of Wales. So where is the Welsh representation on this flag? It actually isn't there. So in order to understand why it's not there, we have to go back a little bit in history to work out why it's not there. So in 1603, Queen Elizabeth I died. She didn't have any children. So the next person, she was a Queen of England and Ireland. So her not having any children to succeed to the throne, the next person in line was actually her cousin, who was King James VI of Scotland. So he then ascended the throne and he became the King of England and Ireland, and ultimately he was a King of Scotland. So he was therefore the king of all those countries. And when he died, when she died, so he succeeded the throne. He decided that he was going to bring all those flags together, and that hence the original flag in 1606 looked like this. You'll notice that it's missing the saltire of Ireland, but that's what the original flag looked like in 1606. And the current design that we have, which includes the saltire of St. Patrick, this dates back to 1801. Now, Wales was actually still part of the Kingdom of England until 1967. So it wasn't until 1967 when Wales actually became its own entity. So therefore, that's why the Welsh flag is not included on the current Union flag as we know it. But who knows, somewhere down the line, who knows, we might see Welsh representation on the flag. They might decide that they're going to redesign it. So we might see the dragon on there, or we might even see this flag that's just come up. That's the flag of St. David, and who is the patron saint of Wales. They might decide that they're going to put a little bit of yellow in the flag. So who knows? So that's a bit of history to our national flag. It's important to note, oh, by the way, that James that I was talking about, King James, when he ascended the throne and became king of the whole Union, his name changed from King James VI to King James I. And that's the same King James who's responsible for commissioning the Bible to be translated into English. So that's where we get King James Version Bible from, just to note that. So that's an important piece of information for you guys. It's also important to note with our flag, the correct orientation. It's the Union flag is not symmetrical. So if you can see here, the correct way up, this is the correct way up. The broad white stripe sits at the top nearest the mast. If you look in this other image, this is a flag upside down. So the broad white stripe is not there. It's going to be at the fly end, or it's down here. So this flag is actually upside down. So always take time and make sure that your flag is situated the correct way up. The state of provincial flag. So the UK doesn't actually have provinces. The closest thing that we have that are comparable to a province are our constituent countries, which are England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. So we don't actually have any provincial flags. You guys would know this flag. This is our AY flag. The AY Adventist Youth flag, it consists of 2 red and 2 white rectangles in alternating corners with the AY emblem in the center. Now, you guys would know that the colors stand for different things. You should know, as Pathfinders, you should know what our Pathfinder flag stands for and the different colors that it represents. So with the AY flag, the gospel of Jesus is represented by the cross, and it's at the center of our ministry. Colossians 1:7 says, he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Therefore, that's why the cross is at the center of the logo of the emblem. You see here that it has the 3 angels on it, and these are represented by the 3 angels message of Revelation 14, and that represents the urgent plea to the world. The globe, as you can see in the blue area, you can see a globe that represents the world that should receive the 3 angels message for every tongue, nation, and kindred. So it's not just for us, not just for one set of people or another set of people, it's for everybody. The color blue that you see there, that represents loyalty. Just like in our Pathfinder flag, it represents loyalty. So we must show and teach loyalty to God, and loyalty is defined as a reflection of the character of Jesus. Yellow is the color of sunshine. It's associated with joy, happiness, intellect, courage, and energy. So those are the symbols and the meanings behind the colors in the AY flag. Pathfinder flag. So you guys definitely know this. So Pathfinder flag consists of 2 blue, 2 white rectangles in alternating corners with the Pathfinder emblem in the center. And as you would know, red stands for sacrifice. So that's the ultimate price that Jesus paid for us. The 3 sides, the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And not just that, but it also reflects the 3 areas of our education, which are mental and physical and spiritual development of our education. The gold.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Romeo asked if you can go back, please, but I don't know where do you want us to go back.
Go back.
And Jaden asked, is yellow heaven too?
Is yellow heaven? Oh, it wasn't symbolized by that. Yellow is the color of sunshine, and it's joy, happiness, intellect, courage, and energy.
I'm speaking with Romeo, so don't worry. I'll catch up with him if there's anything he missed.
Yeah.
But,
oh, okay, no problem.
So please go ahead, Natalie. We've got a lot to get through, I know.
Okay, so back to the Pathfinder one. So gold is excellence. So we should always be striving to do our best. The shield is protection. So God is our protector. The white, purity. Blue, loyalty. The sword, always keep your sword with you. Always have your Bible nearby. Inverted triangle. So if you notice, the usual way we would draw a triangle, you would draw it with a point usually at the top. So our triangle is inverted because this is the order of importance that Jesus taught. So Jesus didn't exalt himself. He didn't run after power and authority. He brought himself down to a level that we could learn from him, and he came to serve, and likewise, we should be servants as well. So the Christian flag, this is a flag that you may not have seen, but this flag exists. The Christian flag is a white flag with a blue square in the upper corner. An upper corner is usually called a canton. So it has a blue canton and it has a red cross in it. This flag, the thought of a flag, of a Christian flag, the idea was first conceived by a gentleman called Charles Overton in 1897. But the flag wasn't designed until 1907 by him and a friend of his called Ralph Eugene Diffendorfer. However, even though it was designed then, it actually wasn't adopted until years later in 1942. So this flag represents Protestants of all denominations. The cross symbolizes the crucifixion of Christ. Red symbolizes the blood of Jesus. The blue represents the waters of baptism as well as the faithfulness of Jesus. So, you know, this is probably the only time that I've seen blue represent something slightly different. We usually refer to blue as being loyalty, but here the blue represents waters of baptism and faithfulness of Jesus. The white represents purity, just as in the other AY flag and our Pathfinder flag. And yes, so that's the Christian flag. So we've covered all the flags that we need to cover, and we can move on to requirement 2. So requirement 2, we need to know how to display the national flag with 2 other flags under the following situations: a campout or camporee, a fair, a Pathfinder Day Programme, and a parade. So displaying flags at a camporee. When the national flag's displayed at campouts or at camporee, it should be placed to the left of those entering the camp and to the right of those who are camping. When all the flags are displayed on one pole, so that's what we would call maybe double flagging or triple flagging. So the national flag is at the top, then the AY flag, and then the Pathfinder flag. So you would put the flags in order of precedence. So the most senior flag will go at the top if you're going to display them all on one pole. So the national flag will go at the top. Just below that, you would then put the AY flag, and then you would put the Pathfinder flag. So in this image, which flag would be the national flag, the yellow, red, or blue flag? I won't ask you guys to, because we are on a time constriction, so I'll just move on. So it would actually be the yellow flag, because remember, if we look at this image, we are the ones that would be entering the camp. So the national flag would be placed on the left. So whilst the children, you see the children there, they're inside the camp, the national flag would be on their right. So displaying flags at a Pathfinder fair. So when the national flag is displayed at a fair, it should be placed on the booth's right, which is the visitor's left. If the national flag is part of a group of flags, it should be in the center and slightly forward or raised. At public fairs, flags may be put inside the booth, but the national flag is always on the viewer's left. So I've added two flags to this image. You see, notice I've added the AY flag and the Pathfinder flag to this image. So if your flags were there, the national flag, as we've discussed in the first bullet point, it would be in the center of those. So it'd be in the center and slightly forward or slightly raised. At a Pathfinder Day, so a Pathfinder Day program on a platform, the national flag should be displayed to the right of the speaker. If the flags are displayed elsewhere other than the platform, or if there is no platform, then the national flag should be displayed to the right of the audience as they face the platform or face the front. And the other flags would be placed on the left. Now, this image, you'll see that here's some flags that were at one of our previous camporees. You'll see here, you've got the national flag, the Union flag. Then you've got our church flag, the Seventh-day Adventist flag. You've got the AY flag, and you've got the Pathfinder flag. So these are actually displayed in order of preference, with the Union flag taking up the seniority place, because that is the most senior flag. So it's situated to the right of all the other flags. Some of you've noticed, you know, when you've got your flags and your flag bases, sometimes they're all together, so you can't actually split them apart. So if you are going to display your flags and you're going to display them all together, just always ensure that the Union flag is to the right of all the other flags. So displaying flags on parade. The national flag should always lead in a single file of flags. If you've got 2 or more flags carried side by side, then the national flag again takes up that position of honor at the right-hand side. And when we say the right-hand side, that's in the line facing the direction of movement. So in the way that you're facing, it's always to the right. So if someone's looking on, watching you guys come towards them, watching the flags come towards, they will see the Union flag on the left. So that's the order that the flags go in. And again, they would be placed in order of seniority. So the Union flag, then the AY flag, then the Pathfinder flag. So moving on to requirement 3. Demonstrate how to fold and salute your national flag. Mention when and how it should be displayed. So how to fold the national flag. So you need to have 2 people standing and holding a corner in each hand. You would fold the flag twice lengthwise, and you would start folding it in a triangular fashion from the fly end. The fly end is the furthest end that's away from the mast. Okay, and you repeat that until you end up with a nice little triangle. Are you guys actually seeing me as well? Can you see me, or are you just seeing my screen? You can see me as well? Okay, so
We can do, yeah.
Yeah, okay, lovely. So I had a flag, but the flag went missing. I don't know where it's gone. Actually, I do know where it's gone. It was with the South England Conference Department, but I'll try and retrieve that at some point. But what I did, because it's too big for me to fold on my own, I printed a flag. So I printed it, so double-sided it, to try and demonstrate, because even telling you how to fold a flag, it may seem a little bit daunting. So I'll try and demonstrate with this bit of paper. So I have a Union flag, and if assuming that this end here is the side where the mast is, so the pole would be here. So you see that it's the correct way up because the broad white stripe is here at the top. So this is situated to the right way up. So you'd have your flag. You need to fold it in half lengthways, and fold it again in half lengthways, and you start folding from the fly end. This is the fly end. So remember, this is the end that would be nearest the mast. This is the bit that's got the holes that you would clip it to the mast. So you start folding from this end, and you start folding in a triangular fashion. So you fold it down. You can see, so fold it down in a
Bring it a little bit closer.
Closer?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. Enough.
From here, fold down into a triangle, and you keep folding wherever you see it, the flag.
Up a little bit, please, Natalie. Sorry. That's it. Perfect.
So you keep folding wherever the crease ends. Yeah, and you continue to fold in that triangular fashion. And this is done ceremoniously. It's really nice when it's done. So you'd ideally be in uniform when you're doing this. So again, bear with me, it is paper, so it's much easier when you're using material, but it's going to crumple up a little bit because it's paper. But I just want you to get the gist of what I'm doing. So you continue to fold until you end up with the triangle. And the bit that is at the end, which would be the bits with the holes that attach to the mast, what you do, you just fold them in, and you would then tuck it into this section here, just to hide that and get it out of the way. And what you're left with is a nice, beautiful triangle, as you see in the diagram. So I hope that helps to demonstrate how to fold a flag.
Yeah, that was lovely. Thank you. Natalie, presumably the fly end is called that because it's the bit that is flying in
That's
the
right.
wind.
Yeah. So the other end is because it's attached to the pole, so that bit is not going to be free. Yeah, and also make sure that you know, if you're folding the flag, so a flag that we have indoors would be small enough for 2 people to fold, but a flag that you're flying outdoors, sometimes they're huge, so you might need 4 people, maybe even 6 people to fold a flag of that size. So ensure that it doesn't touch the ground. If you need to, you might need to just drape the flag over your shoulder to make sure that it doesn't touch the ground. Okay.
Lovely.
Okay, saluting. So the salute is a courteous exchange of greetings, with the junior member always saluting first. Upon saluting, the head and eyes are turned towards the colours or person saluted. When we salute, we're paying the correct compliments to an officer or colours. So the colours, when we talk about colours, that's the flags. So we're paying compliments to an officer or the colours in a smart, uniformed manner. Now, there's various salutes around the world. Even here in our country, we have different salutes. So for instance, the British Army, they'll salute like this. Yeah. Also the Royal Navy, they do the same salute. However, hang on, I got that wrong. Sorry, British Army are like this, and the Royal Air Force, sorry, are like this as well. It's the Navy that are different, sorry. So the Navy actually salute like this, with the palms facing down. So the Army and the Air Force are palms out, and the Navy palms down. So we actually, as Pathfinders, we salute the same as the Army. So our hand comes up, and in order to correctly salute, if you're doing a full salute, your arm comes up the long way, yeah, and your fingers rest just above your right eyebrow. So you're not actually touching your face, you're not actually touching your beret. You know, to do a salute like this, you would be wearing a beret. So as you see here, you've got Prince Harry in the image. He's actually doing a full salute, and your hand is just in front of your right eye or your right eyebrow, and you take the shortest distance down. So we don't go down that way, we take the shortest distance, which is this. So you bring your arm in front and you clench your fist as you bring it down. So that's how you do a full salute. So up, 2, 3, down. We as Pathfinders, we have another salute. So you would know the club salute where we salute here. So we bring up our right arm. You always salute with the right hand, by the way, always the right hand, never the left. Right arm comes up to your heart and then down. So up, 2, 3, down. So that's our club salute.
Sorry, Natalie, I have a question from Jaden. And the question is, do you need gloves if it's an important day to salute?
Do you need gloves?
Yeah, if you need to wear the gloves, you know, the white gloves.
Oh, not necessarily. No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary, but it does look more official. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. Where are we? So saluting the national flag. So if you're stationary, so I've done it stationary and on parade. So if you're stationary, so if you're in full dress uniform, which includes your beret, remember, that includes your beret. Beret is part of full dress uniform. If you don't have a beret, you're not considered fully dressed. So in full dress uniform, you would come to attention and you would salute when you hear the first note of the national anthem. I've just put in national anthem as an example because the flag will raise upon the national anthem, and as soon as you hear the first note, you would then salute. If you're somewhere where there isn't a national anthem, like for instance at our Pathfinder camporees, and you see the flag being raised, you'll probably be given a command. You'll probably be given Pathfinders, present arms, at which point you would then salute. And then once the flag reaches the top, then you hear order arms, at which point you bring your arm down. So that's how to salute if you're in full dress uniform. Field uniform, you would come to attention and place your right hand over your heart, which is your club salute, as I mentioned before. So that's how you would salute the flag. And if you're not in uniform, you would stand at attention for the duration of the national anthem or for the duration of the flag raising, whatever whatever is taking place. So that's how you would salute if you are standing stationary. On parade, so some of us, we go on marches and we, march through the streets. To see a large body of Pathfinders marching, is such a lovely sight. So I think the last time I remember us doing anything like that was at the TED Camporee, where we actually had a large march on the site of everybody who was camping. And we actually did an eyes left on that parade, because if I remember rightly, as we were marching to the meeting, the Pathfinder directors were all standing on the left. So we did we saluted to the left and did a nice left. But I've listed here, saluting to the right. It's the steps that you go through to salute. It's the same that you would do for the left, although you're just looking the opposite side. So saluting to the right. If your flag or your officials, you need to salute them and you're marching. So you would hear saluting to the right, salute, and salute is given on your left foot. So once you hear, so if you imagine left, right, saluting to the right, salute, miss it, up. So left, right, miss it. So that's your right foot. Upon your left foot striking the ground again, you go up and you hold that position. You hold that position for 5 paces and then you come down. Okay, so that's how we salute to the right. So your hand is in the same salute position that I mentioned before, but you need to look to the right, which is why you end up like this. So you actually end up looking down the back of your right hand. So that's how you would salute to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down. And then you continue marching full swing. So that's how you'd salute. Eyes right. So that's if we're marching and we've got platoons, marching in platoons, like the platoon leaders and the drill instructors, they would be the ones that give the salute, whereas the rest of the Pathfinders in the platoon, they wouldn't necessarily have to give a salute. They would do an eyes right. So they would hear eyes right, and then they turn and look right, and then they continue marching whilst they're looking to the right, and then they'll hear eyes front, which they then face forward and they continue marching. So that's how we salute the national flag on parade. So how and when the flag should be displayed? So the national flags of the United Kingdom should be displayed in a manner only that befits the national emblems. So they shouldn't be subjected to indignity and should not be displayed in a position inferior to any other flag. And the national flag should always be flown aloft and free. Flags are normally flown from sunrise to sunset. So I don't know if you've seen some of us at Camporee, we would raise the flags in the morning and we would bring them down at a particular time, depending on when sunset is. So, and have them ready to break again for the next morning. So bring them down, but however, flags may be flown at night as well, but they need to be illuminated at all times, preferably by spotlight if you're going to fly them at nighttime. Any instances where you shouldn't fly flags is if they're damaged or tattered or torn, because to fly a flag like that is just showing disrespect to the nation. So if your flag is in a state of disrepair and it looks terrible, you need to replace it. Don't have that flag flying.
Some of the Pathfinders may have remembered recently when Prince Philip passed away, that all the flags actually flew at half mast at that point. Yes. So that's another sort of sign of respect there. So
yes, that's right. So when Prince Philip passed away, the flags came down at half-mast. When we talk about half-mast, so the flag actually comes down. It's not like halfway down the whole mast. It's actually the length that's left at the top of the mast is usually the same length as the flag. So it comes down the length, sorry, however high the flag is, that's how high it comes down, if that makes sense. I hope that does make sense. So it doesn't come down halfway down the whole mast. It comes down the width of the flag. So that's what is called flying a flag at half mast. So when and how the flag should be displayed. So whenever any of the UK's national flags or any other sovereign national flags are displayed, due consideration should be given to flag etiquette and precedence. So if you notice in this image that I've got there, you've got the national flag that's taken precedence, is at the front. You've got the English flag, the Scottish flag, and the Welsh flag. Now, don't think, oh, the English flag is more superior to the Scottish and the Scottish to the Welsh, because they're not. They're of equal standing. What you would do in an instance like this is you would just simply place the flags in alphabetical order, because that just disputes any ill feelings or whatever. You know, people might say, oh, well, our flag should be senior to that one. The only way, so for instance, if we had a camp in Scotland and we wanted to display our national flags, the order that these flags should be placed in should be the Union flag, the Scottish flag, because you're in Scotland, and then you place whatever other flags that are there in alphabetical order. It's the same if we were in Wales, you'd have the Union flag, then the Welsh flag, and then the other flags would be placed in alphabetical order. So just take care to ensure that you're putting the flags in the correct order of precedence. If you are looking just for a decorative effect for anything, then don't use flags, because that's not what they're designed for. You do best to use something like bunting or house flags or pennants, such as these that I've shown there, if you just want to give a nice decorative effect. So requirement 4, explain the meaning of and reason for the national anthem and recite the words from memory. So our national anthem: God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen, God save the Queen, send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us, God save the Queen. So that's our national anthem. We should know it, and that is actually verse 1. It might come as a surprise to some of you that there are other verses. So I took these verses from the royal website, because as I understand it, there are 3 official verses, but the royal website has listed 2. So verse 2 says, thy choicest gifts in store, on her be pleased to pour, long may she reign. May she defend our laws and ever give us cause to sing with heart and voice, God save the Queen. So these are the 2 verses, as I said, listed on the website. The 3rd verse, I believe, has been omitted because in the verse it talks about asking God to scatter her enemies. I'll give you the words. It says, O Lord our God, arise, scatter her enemies and make them fall, confound their politics, frustrate their lavish tricks, on thee our hopes we fix, God save our all. So I think they probably omitted that because it may come across as being a little bit offensive to other nations. So they probably wanted to opt for something of a more friendly alliance, therefore omitting that verse. That verse actually goes between these 2. So you've got verse 1, then you've got that one, then you've got this one that I've listed as verse 2. That was actually verse 3. So, but because the royal website has listed these 2, that's what I've given you as the national anthem. So the meaning and the reason. So the national anthem, like other national symbols of a country, it represents the tradition, history and beliefs of a nation and its people. it helps evoke feelings of patriotism among the country's citizens, and it reminds them of their nation's glory, beauty, and rich heritage. So God Save the King was a patriotic song first publicly performed in London in 1745. And this is what became known as the National Anthem at the beginning of the 19th century. They don't know where the words or the tune come from. And the words that we sung back then in 1745 are the same words that we use today, but we just substitute Queen and King where is necessary. So for instance, when Charles ascends the throne, we would then change the words to God Save the King. And as this says, as I mentioned before, additional verses have been added down the years, but there's rarely use. So even though I said there's 3 official verses, but the 2 are listed on the website, if you look further afield, you actually will find some others, but I just don't know how official those are. So that's our national anthem. Requirement 5, give the rights and responsibilities of a citizen of your country. So, rights. We have the right to live permanently in the UK, receive a British passport and unrestricted entry into the UK. There's no work restrictions. You can own property, you have the right to vote, you can stand for office, you get free medical care, and you can have free education up until the age of 18. So those are the rights of a citizen in the UK. So responsibilities. So we're responsible for paying taxes, for voting in elections, obeying the law, doing jury service, respecting the rights of other citizens. So let's link a few of these to us as Christians or as Pathfinders. So think of your Pathfinder pledge. So one of the responsibilities here is obeying the law. So we pledge to keep the Pathfinder law, and living by the law of the land should actually go hand in hand with how we live our lives as Christians. And respecting the rights of other citizens, we should always strive to live in harmony with our fellow citizens and prove to be that friend to man, as stated in our Pathfinder pledge. Requirement 6. So I think we're doing all right for time, hopefully. Requirement 6. Have an interview with a local, regional, or national official of your country and learn about his or her duties. So the person I've chosen here is Roxana Fiaz. She is the Mayor of Newham. Why I've chosen her is because I go to Stratford Church, and Stratford Church is situated in the borough of Newham. And like many of Stratford Church, like many of your churches, we work in the community, like we have a food bank, and we do community programs, we do health screening, we even have a Christmas shelter. So the South England Conference runs a Christmas shelter at the Advent Centre during Christmas, and from that we actually now have a sister shelter, which is the Stratford one. So we have the Stratford shelter, and that's operated by Stratford Church in conjunction with Newham Council. So why I chose Roxana Fiaz is because she's the Mayor of Newham, and we actually work closely with her to be able to put on this sort of service. And she's a very humble person. I remember the first time she came to our church, we were looking out for, the big state car, and, we'd prepared, made sure no one was going to take up that big space in the front of church. And we were looking out for the car thinking, where is she? And she just drove herself to church, So she's very humble. She didn't even come in the big car. When she came, she just looked like one of us, she was very down to earth. She didn't have the big chain or anything like that. So, she's very much a people person. And you guys would need to choose somebody, an official, either local, regional, or national, and learn about their duties. So I'm just saying, like, if you decided that you were going to choose the mayor, like, these are the steps that you could take to learn about the mayor of your own borough, the area that you live in, and find out what their duties are. So if you're under this COVID situation that we're in, you may not be able to meet with anybody, but you can still take the steps and go on the website, and information should be readily available on there. So for instance, this is the Newham Council website. Go on there and it shows you who the Mayor of Newham is on there. So the website is www.newham.gov.uk, wherever you live. So if you're in Lambeth, it might be lambeth.gov.uk. If it's Southwark, it might be southwark.gov.uk, etc., etc. If not, just Google it, and you should be able to find your council website. So on here, it talks about meeting the mayor. There's an area that says meet the mayor, get in touch, invite the mayor, talk to the mayor in person. So it just goes to show that your local mayor isn't someone who's so far removed that you can't get in touch with them. They make themselves available. So, you know, on here is even a section, you know, you could write to the mayor. So if you had a program, you could write to the mayor and invite them to your church or anything. You know, they're quite happy to come and meet people. There's the next section, the role of the mayor. So the role of the mayor is listed on there. Leadership, what they do, how they represent your borough, all these things are listed on there. So, you know, you could use this as a basis for finding out what your mayor does, or likewise, you could find someone else that you might find interesting and learn about them. But whoever it is that you choose, it might be good to formulate a set of questions that you might want to ask them if you are able to set up an interview with them. You might want to ask them like what a typical day at work is like, what's the most difficult part of their job, what's the most satisfying part of their job, who they report to, and how they got their position. You might want to ask them, were they elected, appointed, or hired? So you could even ask them, you know, what advice would they give to you as a young person if you wanted to get into a life of public service? So those are questions you can formulate and have that ready in order to have a successful interview. So that should cover that bit. But in order to fulfill the requirements, so the Mayor of Newham, so her role, her actual role, this is what she does. So she leads and represents the borough. She's the council's political leader, and she's got full executive decision-making powers. She's accountable directly to the people of Newham for carrying out the commitments she made in her election manifesto. The mayor leads the council in setting and delivering its vision for making Newham a place where people choose to live, work, and stay. She's a champion and advocate for Newham, and the mayor works with local partners such as the police, health, voluntary sectors, as well as key stakeholders and business partners. And this is in order to deliver a shared vision for the borough and deliver the best for the residents and the businesses. So that should cover, you know, the person who I kind of interviewed. But guys, just use this as a basis to find out what you want to, you know, find someone that you want to do, learn about, and just kind of take bits and pieces from here and adapt it accordingly. So requirement 7, write a 1-page essay or give a 2-minute oral report about a famous person in your country.
I have another question. Jaden says, can I ask a question, but I don't know what the question is. So Jaden, if you want to ask a question.
Yeah.
He had a question earlier, and the question was, why are we called Pathfinders? So I don't know if you want to answer that at the end, Natalie. Keep it at the end.
All right, we'll come back to that one at the end then, if you could remind me. Yeah. All right, so requirement 7, write a 1-page essay or give a 2-minute oral report about a famous person in your country. Mention what he or she has done to gain their recognition. So here we have the Queen. So she's probably the most famous person in the country. So I've chosen to just give you a little bit of information on the Queen. But again, as I said before, you can choose your own person, or you could use the bullet points that I've given you and make it your own. Use the bullet points and adapt it accordingly, expand on it and create your 1-page essay or your 2-minute oral presentation. So Queen Elizabeth II, her full name is Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor. She was born on the 21st of April, 1926. So the Queen actually just celebrated her 95th birthday last month. She's the Queen of the United Kingdom and 15 other Commonwealth realms. She was crowned on the 2nd of June, 1953. So that was Coronation Day. And on that day, she swears an oath. And she's the head of state. She's the longest lived and longest reigning British monarch, longest serving female head of state in world history, world's oldest living monarch, longest reigning current monarch, longest serving current head of state. So the Queen has kind of defied the odds where things are concerned. And she serves as an important symbol for national identity and pride. So those are just a few snippets of the Queen. So feel free to use those if you want to do the Queen, and just expand. And like I said, you can create your oral presentation from that. I've chosen a second person. This might be some.
Just before you go on, I know we have a lot of people who don't live in England or the UK. So whatever country they're living in at the moment, they should choose somebody famous and well known from their own country that they're living in currently.
Yes, definitely. So if you're not a UK resident, if you're living in America or wherever you are, just adapt the information that I'm saying, adapt it accordingly. So choose a famous person from your country. So there's so many to choose from, but yeah, just adapt the information accordingly. I did this based on UK because we are living in the UK, but feel free to adapt the information accordingly. So
and it doesn't have to be somebody who's alive at the moment either. They can go back in history and choose a famous person from history.
Yeah, as long as the person's famous, you know, that and they needed you want to just make points on what they are famous for. So pick someone who a lot of people know. So if I said the Queen of England, everybody's going to know, oh yeah, the Queen of England. And this second person that I've chosen, Anthony Joshua, I've chosen this person because this person's a slightly younger person, so most of you would probably know him as well. So Anthony Joshua, his full name is Anthony Oluwafemi Olaseni Joshua, and he's got an OBE. He was born on the 15th of October 1989, so he's 31. British professional boxer. He is a 2-time unified worldweight heavyweight boxing champion, and he holds these titles. He is an Olympic gold medalist, which he got a gold medal at London 2012. He was given an MBE in 2013, and he's held some British and Commonwealth titles from 2014 to 2016. He was subsequently given an OBE in 2018 for his services to sport. And he's also recognized as one of the 100 most influential Black Britons. So that's just some bullet points on another famous figurehead. So you could feel free again to choose whoever it is that you want to do, or use what I've given here for those of you that live in the UK.
Sorry, Natalie, the person has to be alive, or it's any problem?
No, that's what we were. That's what Natalie was saying before. The person doesn't have to be alive, as long as it's someone that's famous and they're recognized for any particular thing. Okay, so requirement 8, do one of the following. Make a list of 10 famous quotations from leaders of your country. Make a list of 10 famous historic places in your country. Make a list of 10 famous historic events in your country. So you don't have to do all 3, just choose one of them. So the one I've chosen to do the quotes. I've chosen quotes because just wanted to find some quotes that were maybe meaningful. So Margaret Thatcher, she was a prime minister from 1979 to 1990. So some of the quotes that she said, one is, don't follow the crowd, let the crowd follow you. So that's a good one to live by. The next one is probably a little bit humorous. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. So I quite like that quote. Whether or not it's true or not, I'll leave that to you guys to decide. And she also said, you know, if you just set out to be liked, you'd be prepared to compromise on anything, wouldn't you, at any time? And you would have achieved nothing. So there's some 3, you know, quotes from Margaret Thatcher that I've listed there. Harold Wilson, he's another prime minister. I'm not old enough to have known him, but yes, he was prime minister from 1964 to 70 and from 1974 to 76. So one of his quotes, which I quite like, I'm an optimist, but an optimist who carries a raincoat. So what I like about that is, you know, today's going to be a great day, but hey, I'm going to take my raincoat or my umbrella just in case. So it's like saying, yes, this is going to happen, but if it doesn't happen, I'm prepared. So as Pathfinders, we should be optimistic, but as Pathfinders, we should also be prepared. He also said, he who rejects change is the architect of decay. Now, why I like that one, because it actually reminded me of a Bible text, and it reminded me of the text in Proverbs 29:18, which says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And I think that is so befitting to the quote that he made. He who rejects change is the architect of decay. Where there is no vision, the people perish. I think they're literally one and the same thing. Sir Winston Churchill, he's another famous prime minister. So he was prime minister from 1940 to 1945. And again, from 1951 to 55. So he's pretty popular. And he said, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, but an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So we should always have an optimistic look on life, always look on the bright side. He also said, success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. So again, why I've listed that one, because it reminds me of the race is not swift, but the race is not, I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. Natalie, help me out with that text, please. The race is not for the swift, but for those to endure to the end. Is that right? Yes.
Dan's nodding his head. I think you
yes,
got it right.
Yes, thank you. So you know when you know some quotes and sometimes they don't come out the right way. So yeah, the race is not for the swift, but for those who enjoy to the end. So that's what that quote reminded me of. So success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And also, there's another third quote that I've listed, and he said, never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. So that text, that quote, he made that in reference to the people who fought and risked their lives to save the country in the Second World War. So he was ultimately saying that a few people died to save the many. And if we look at that another way, you know, you can look at that as Jesus, you know, Jesus was one person and he died to save the whole world. And again, Bible text, greater love hath no man than this, than a man laid down his life for his friends. That's John 15:13. And you've got, but God commendeth his love towards us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8, and the one that we all know, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So those are the texts that I chose. I chose them because I felt that there was some meaning behind them, and they're good ones to live by. So requirement 9, describe what you can do as a citizen to help your church and country. So helping a church, you can attend services on a regular basis. You can support it with your tithes and offering. So even though even at the moment, not all of us have our churches open because of COVID, but we should still be attending. There's various outlets that we could use. We could use Zoom, you could watch on YouTube, and systems have been put in place to still be able to pay your tithe and offering. So you can, even under the situation that we're in, you can still support the church. You can attend business meetings. I know business meetings are still taking place via Zoom. You can volunteer your services. If you see something that needs doing, do it, and engage with your community. So these are ways that you can help your church. Helping your country, attend public meetings, stay informed about local issues, vote if you're eligible, pay your taxes fairly and promptly. It's important to stay abreast of local issues, you know, and to vote. For instance, I work for the SEC, but on election day, I actually work in the elections as well. So I work as a presiding officer. So I look after a polling station. So I work with 2 poll clerks that are under me, and we operate the polling station for that day from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. And why it's important to keep abreast of issues is you in order to be able to make a difference, you need to know what's going on. So you'd be surprised how many people actually come into the polling station and they ask me who they should vote for. I can't give them that information. I can't say that. So you need to, you know, guys, watch the news, listen to, you know, attend meetings where you need to. It's only through attending these things that you'll be able to gain knowledge and make informed decisions for yourself. Yeah, so it's important to do those things, and that's how you can help your country.
Yeah, it's a real privilege to be able to vote, actually, and lots of people do not have that privilege and are living in you know, parts of the world where they're in a dictatorship or what have you, and they are not able to vote for who they feel would be able to run fairly. And so yeah, it is definitely a part of our responsibility to learn about that and to exercise the privilege to vote as well.
Yes, definitely. So guys, as soon as you hit 18, yeah, do what you need to do. Yeah. So I've just brought up a few more quotes. So I found some really good quotes in doing this honor. I found some really good quotes. So it was nice to be able to research this honor. So helping your church and country again. So we rise by lifting others. Robert Ingersoll said that. The purpose of life is not to be happy, it's to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. And that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. Mahatma Gandhi, he said, it's the action, not the fruit of the action that's important. You have to do the right thing. It may not be in your power and it may not be in your time that there'll be any fruits, but that doesn't mean you stop doing the right thing. You may never know what results come from your action, but if you do nothing, there will be no results. So that's actually a really good quote from Gandhi. And the last quote I've got here, the purpose of life is to contribute in some way to making things better. So we as citizens and as Pathfinders and as Christians, we should get involved, help our church, help our country, help our communities. If we don't, you know, nothing will change. Requirement 10, go through the steps of an individual acquiring citizenship in the country and learn how this is done. I can see my time is against me. Natalie, am I okay to continue?
Yeah, go ahead. You got a few minutes longer. So,
okay. This one's quite heavy, guys.
Keep going. We'll go steam straight through though.
Okay, all right then. So this there's quite a lot of information in this one. So guys, so let's move straight into this. So how to acquire citizenship. So this is the government website. This is how you will find out. So www.gov.uk. Applying for citizenship takes approximately 6 months and in some cases even longer. The application fee for citizenship by naturalization is £1,330. So it's not cheap, guys. So remember when we were talking about naturalization, that's the legal process that you take to become a British citizen. And if your application is rejected, the overall fee will be refunded minus an administration fee of £25. When you apply for citizenship through naturalisation, you will need to prove how long you've lived in the UK, pass the Life in the UK test, prove you understand English. They'll check that you're of good character, and this means showing that you haven't recently broken the law or gone bankrupt. And you'll also need to give the names of 2 people who can help prove your identity, and these people would be known as referees. So these are the steps that you need to go through, but we need to kind of look at each one of these in depth to see how you acquired the citizenship. So proving how long you've lived in the UK. 3 years is 3 years if you're married to or in a civil partnership with a British citizen. You need to have lived in the UK for 5 years if you're not married to or in a civil partnership with a British citizen. And you also need to make sure you were in the UK on the same day 3 or 5 years ago as the day that you're applying. So it can't be 1 or 2 days before the 3 years, or 1 or 2 days before the 5 years. It needs to be exactly 5 years or more, or exactly 3 years or more. The Life in the UK test. So this test asks questions about UK laws and the legal system working and other details of life in the UK. And you can do the test anytime before you apply, and you can take it as many times as you need to. However, you would have a fee to pay each time you do. You need to prove that you understand English, Welsh, or Scottish Gaelic before you can apply for citizenship. And checking that you're of good character, the Home Office, they look at a range of things to decide this. For example, the Home Office might decide that you're not eligible if you've got unpaid taxes in the UK, if you've got an NHS debt, if you've been declared bankrupt, if you've had a serious or recent criminal record, if you've broken any immigration rules. So these are things that they would check to see if you're of good character. And also if you've been an EEA citizen in the UK without a right to reside. So those are things that would go against you in terms of checking your good character. So the 2 people that can help prove your identity, they must have known you personally for more than 3 years, and they can't be a relative, they can't be a solicitor, and they can't be employed by the Home Office. And neither can they be a referee if they've had a criminal conviction in the last 10 years. There is a rehabilitation period when I was researching this. So for instance, a rehabilitation period for a fine is 1 year. So if the time's passed, and they're out of that rehab, then they can probably be a referee. But other than that, they wouldn't be able to. And also they must be of professional standing. And they must be a British passport holder and be over the age of 25. The Home Office has a list of people that they accept as referees. These are called acceptable professional persons, and the rules for this is on the government website, and it's under commonly used terms. You need to attend a citizenship ceremony once you've successfully applied. And booking your ceremony, this is usually done by your local council, and they'll organise this for you. And it's usually done in groups, but you can request a private one if you want to. You must take your invitation with you when you go, and you're usually allowed to take 2 guests with you as well. And during this ceremony, you have to make an oath of allegiance and pledge that you promise to respect the rights, freedoms and laws of the UK. And at the end, they'll give you your certificate of British citizenship and a welcome pack. If it's virtual, then they'll just send that to you afterwards. And some local councils sell these photographs or videos, and so that you have that as memorabilia afterwards. Nat, how are we doing?
I think you've how many requirements have you got left? Is it
I've got
2?
11, 12 and 13.
Wow, okay. Bogdan, do you think you'll take up the whole hour in your one, or do you think we can just carry on with this one? What do you think? What, can you just do an overview, Natalie, of the three remaining?
Okay, I'll try and just
not to go into detail.
just power through, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, as Natalie mentioned, this will be available for you. So I'm just going to kind of just quickly run through the other slides. So you've got to understand the process of government. So know and explain the process of government in your country. So I've got a diagram here which lists how government works, and I've explained each of there's 5 sections on here. I've explained each one of them. And the UK is a parliamentary democracy, and that means that parliament's voted in by the people. And that's why it's important, as we were talking about before, to, you know, try and exercise your right to vote. It's also a constitutional monarchy because we've got the Queen, but she has limited powers, you know, but she played the role that she plays. She ensures that the principles and things that we live by, that those things are adhered to. Parliament's divided into 2 houses that makes laws. They scrutinize government, debate the current issues, and that's the House of Commons and the House of Lords. And these houses complement and balance each other. When we have a general election, if you probably see on the news sometimes, there's always a number 326. So it's a party that gets that number. That's the party that that forms the new government, and the leader of that party becomes a prime minister. If there's no clear party, one of the 2 biggest ones, they might make a formal deal with one of the smaller parties. In 2010, we actually had a coalition, so that when they form, that's what they call a coalition. So in 2010, we had a coalition. So at the moment, we're under Conservative government. 2010, the Conservatives, there was no clear winner, but the Conservatives made a deal with the Liberal Democrats, and then they formed a coalition. And then hence, so that was David Cameron and Nick Clegg. So them forming a coalition, they then became the new government. Requirement 12, explain the meaning of the statement that Jesus made in Matthew 22:21. Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. So we need to really understand the context that this was being spoken in. So the Jews were, the Pharisees were trying to not confuse, but they were trying to trick Jesus. They wanted to trick him into saying something that was going to make him fall out of favor with one group or the other. And if you read Matthew 22 from verse 15 up until verse 22, that gives you the full context of this actual part of the Bible text. And basically, the phrase has become a widely quoted summary of the relationship between Christianity, secular government, and society. The original message, coming in response to a question of whether it's lawful for Jews to pay taxes to Caesar, gives rise to multiple possible interpretations about circumstances under which it's desirable for Christians to submit to earthly authority. So, in a nutshell, what Jesus was basically saying, you know, it's okay for us to live by the law of the land. You know, it's okay for us to be governed by a king or queen. At the end of the day, the Bible says in Daniel 2:21, and he changeth the times and the seasons, he removeth kings and sets up kings. So at the end of the day, it's God is the one who's put these people in places of authority. But we just need to remember ultimately who the King of all kings is. Last one, so we're going to power through this last one. Explain why laws are established in your country. So the law serves many purposes. 4 principal ones are establishing standards, maintaining order, resolving disputes, and protecting liberties and rights. Those are the 4 principal reasons for the law. And the laws serve as a norm of conduct for citizens and act as a guidance of acceptable behavior. We need the law to ensure equality and parity in communities. Many believe that a society without laws would be a society in a state of chaos. So not only do we have these laws, but we have another guide that we live by, and we live by the Bible. So not only do we have the laws of the country to guide us in our conduct as citizens, but we have the laws as set out in the commandments of God and the Bible as our ultimate guide to live by. And that, I think we've covered everything.